My former Latin teacher, Dr. Tharp, once told me that the word salutatorian comes from the Latin word for goodbye, and that it is the salutatorian's job to bid the senior class farewell. As sad as it may sound, this might be the last time our entire class is in the same place. But before we say goodbye, I feel it necessary to reflect on the years we have spent together and the changes that have taken place during this time. Things have certainly changed since we started kindergarten back in 1998. If you were to ask someone in 1998 where the nearest Starbucks was, they might reply by saying, "What's a Starbucks?" If someone had tried to describe an iPod to you, you would have looked at them like they were crazy. After all, what could possibly replace the portability of the Walkman CD player? There were no 3D televisions, there was only the IMAX, where we have all attempted to grab the images as they came out of the screen. This fish just looks so real. When we started school, you had to go to the library to get your information. Now you just reach into your pocket and pull out your smartphone. We as people have also changed over the years. For example, there was a time when Kyle Brown was a short kid with very long hair and Coke bottle glasses. In middle school, JTNF was not the bench-pressing powerhouse we know today, and still went by his little man name, John Taylor. Joe Williams had not yet become frat-tastic, and Chris Matthews did not have enough hair with which to create his signature faux hawk. Also, Hogan Whitmire was scrawny, and had not yet acquired the arsenal of nicknames that include such classics as Heisman and QB1. Perhaps the most dramatic change for us has been that of our educational career, which can best be described as completely hectic. There have been no less than 6 different schools on Signal Mountain during our lives, and most of us attended 2 elementary schools, 1 middle school, and 2 high schools. Looking back on the time we've spent together, I can't help but wonder what the future holds. Will Mr. Hegwood continue his evolution into an actual werewolf? Will the football team be working toward winning their 12th straight title with the both frightening and awesome Coach Price? Will words such as totes and presh appear in the dictionary? Will Austin Atkins' truck be considered small? And finally, will the salutatorian 12 years from now give a speech that looks back on a time when there weren't flying cars, robot dogs, and fully articulated robots that have feelings? Thank you.
Heavy robes, but I bear them. Stashes chafed, but I wear them. Some life lessons I've learned this year. Now let me share them. A few days ago, I heard the CEO of McCormick Spices, Alan Wilson, give a commencement address at the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. He said the keys to a good speech were honesty, humor, and, for the sake of the audience, brevity. So, before I begin with the deep philosophical ramblings that are all too common among valedictorians, yes, I've done some research, I want to begin with something much more important. I want to thank a few crucial people for helping me get to where I am today. First, my parents, Brian and Margot, for instilling in me a deep sense of self-worth, as well as good study habits. Second, God for allowing me to stand where I am today. Thirdly, all of my friends that helped me through life's tough situations. And finally, all the teachers that devoted their time and energy convincing me that being a suck-up wasn't going to get me a good grade. Instead, I would have to put in some real effort, something which is very difficult for someone who, believe it or not, is as lazy as me. Now, here's the point in the speech where you can begin to doze off. In my life, I spent a lot of time worrying, especially in the past year. Are my grades good enough? Where am I going to college? Will my friends always be there for me? But really, was any of this worrying worthwhile? Probably not. Matthew 6:34 says, "Don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries. Today's trouble is enough for today." I believe I can speak for the class here, that as seniors, we end up thinking so much about tomorrow, we forget to appreciate the day at hand. Today is a great day. Look at what we've done. This year, our school won state titles in 3 different sports. Several members of our senior class helped raise money for a family in need through Extreme Makeover Home Edition. We've shown our true colors both in our school and in our community. And look at what we're doing now. We're about to take our first steps into the real world. We're about to head off to college. But we aren't in college yet. We need to remind ourselves where we are at this very moment. We are sitting in an auditorium filled with our families, with our friends and classmates. These are the people we've gone through life with, endured the most difficulties with, and grown to know the best. Only a fool thinks he can make it through life alone, and in doing so, he misses life's true value. For me, the meaning of life is in its journey. That is, what one accomplishes between birth and death. By graduating, we have accomplished something great. We've taken advantage of the opportunities we have been given. Others are given these opportunities and refuse them. So be proud that you've taken this journey. Now let me ask you a question. Where is your path going to take you? Will you be the solitary son that Eddie Vedder sang about in his song Guaranteed? In the last verse he sings, "Leave it to me as I find a way to be. Consider me a satellite forever orbiting. I knew all the rules, but the rules did not know me." Guaranteed. If you follow the example of Vedder's Christopher McCandless, you are in command of your own destiny, in control of your own search. If you're unfamiliar with McCandless' story, let me explain. In 1990, Chris McCandless graduated from Emory University with high grades and good options for the future. But instead of getting a job, which is the socially prescribed next step, he decided to take a little time off. The young man traveled North America, making his own decisions and truly living the itinerant dream. After a couple of years, he decided to venture into the Alaskan wilderness, carrying nothing but a sack of rice, a few books, and some camping equipment. For 4 months, he survived off the land, until he died from eating berries contaminated with mold. His death was the result of a freakish series of unfortunate circumstances, but that is not as important as the bravery and resolution with which he lived. His journey unfolded according to where he felt his search was leading him. Considering McCandless' lifestyle, he was the master of his fate. Do you consider yourself the master of your fate? Whether you do or you don't, please don't eat moldy berries. Now, maybe you find comfort in a higher power. Proverbs 19:21 says, "You can make many plans, but the Lord's purpose will prevail." In a typical Judeo-Christian sense, we have been placed on this earth for a purpose, the nature of which we may or may not understand. We can still search, because we know God has put us here for a reason. For example, many of my plans haven't exactly gone as I've expected this year. At the beginning of the school year, I was dead set on attending Vanderbilt University. But due to my inability to commit financially to the school, I waited until regular decision to apply. Well, long story short, Vanderbilt waitlisted me. I'd like to think that they didn't see reasons not to accept me. There just weren't enough good reasons to accept me. At this point, though, I had already committed to the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. I have since accepted that Vanderbilt wasn't the place I was meant to be, and I have peace with what God has in store for me, and that it will be worthwhile. Now, whichever belief you decide to follow, whether it be the free-spirited nature of Chris McCandless, a steadfast devotion to God, or a mixture of the two, there is a key factor that applies to both. You are who you are because of where you've been. All of us have been here at Signal Mountain High School. All of us can say we won state championships. All of us can say we've bettered our community in some way, whether it was by volunteering to help those in need or just by giving blood. All of us can say that we love one another. The camaraderie that this class exhibits amazes me. Some of the other classes are cliquey, but not so much with us. I have seen what some would consider a popular girl invite a kid she didn't know to a lunch table just because he was sitting alone. I've seen all kinds of support given to a fellow classmate during a time of great crisis in his life. Whether it was through a text message, a phone call, or a simple hug, I have seen you guys spread a lot of love. Some will say that because we all had to go our separate ways freshman year, we meshed together so well now. I personally see it as a blessing from God. But however you want to view it, there is no doubt that a genuine bond of care and friendship runs between us all. My hope is that you can carry this love with you for the rest of your life, regardless of the path you choose. So let me ask you once again, Where is your path going to take you? Wherever you go, you can't change the fact that you graduated with this class in 2011. You can't change who you were at this moment in time. I want to leave you with one final quote, courtesy of Tyler Willingham, a close personal friend of mine. Whether you're going to college, going to work, going to school, or just going through your day, remember that it's all for a purpose. Don't just accept the fact that everything you do is part of something bigger. Embrace it. Know that you are loved and that you are being watched over. Thank you for your time, and go Eagles!